Hey everyone, Pastor John here. Finances can be one of the biggest stressors during the holidays, especially when it feels like there's pressure to spend more than we can afford. Today we'll explore how to find contentment and manage financial stress while keeping the focus on the true meaning of the season. You know, the Christmas season can be stressful for a variety of reasons. Financial pressure can be the one that breaks the camel's back. I want to help you to process that pressure in a way that lets you enjoy the holidays and not get distracted. Listen to what Jesus said about the things we possess. In Luke chapter 12, verse 15, he said this, "And Jesus said to them, 'Watch out, be on guard against all kinds of greed, for your life does not consist in the abundance of your possessions.'" Sometimes we get so caught up in wanting to provide the gifts for people that we think are meaningful or we feel obligated to do. These things they're fine, but they really don't give you a life that's truly life. So what I want to do today is to give you two strategies that can help you reduce the financial pressure and stress of the holidays. Our spending or our overspending can fall into these two categories. Understanding these two categories, listen now, will help you chart a course of action because that's the only thing that's going to solve the problem. You've got to have a plan. One of these issues, one of these strategies is an external one, but the other is internal, and that one is much, much more difficult. Let's get to the easy one first, the external. And that simply is solved by setting boundaries and a budget. That takes communication. You've got to just talk to whomever you're involved in this with, and you list out everybody that you desire to buy gifts for. You list out what you think you should be spending, you total it, and you match that against your capacity. And if it doesn't work, you either drop people off the list or you reduce what you buy. So I can't do that. I just have to do it. And you feel this inside and outside pressure to do something. But let me ask you a question. Would you want somebody to go into debt or to be harmed financially to give you a gift at Christmas? Now, of course, your answer, no, I would never want someone to do that. Well, neither would they. Let me give you a strategy to help you when you do go over the budget and you do go over all the people and whether they're your kids, grandkids, whatever, that you're wanting to buy for, and you have to drop people off the list. One suggestion I would give you is to write them a letter at Christmas, put it in a card, and simply tell them, this year, we're not in a position to buy as many gifts as we would like. I'd buy you the world if I could afford it. But I want you to know that I love you and thank you, and just share your heart with them. What if here's the best way to ask the question and answer it. If somebody sent you that letter, would it offend you? Or would you go, oh gosh, man, I'd never want you to feel that way. And so the simplest way to process decisions that you think are going to be odd to people is just flip it. What if somebody sent that letter to me? You'd be fine with it. And now, you may not need to do that, but at the end of the day, set a budget and live within it. Set the boundaries and live within it and come to an agreement before you start spending. And that will reduce a significant amount of stress. Now, that's the simple one. That just requires communication. It requires you having a discussion, maybe even some dynamic interaction about who you need to give and to buy what for. We call those arguments in my house. I don't know about you, but that's okay. I mean, if you're in a relationship with somebody, conflict is normal. Not resolving conflict isn't. So that one's pretty simple. It's a strategy. But let me talk to you about the internal one. This one isn't simple at all. The internal one is when you discover why you need to give gifts. Now, I learned this in my relationship with Michelle, my wife. When Michelle was a little girl, about 8 years old, her dad abandoned their family and left them and threw them into abject poverty. And every year at Christmas, and it chokes me up even to think about it, this beautiful little girl, abandoned by her dad, going to school and making up the gifts that she got. And it scarred her heart. It made her create these inner vows inside of her that said, I will never, ever let my children experience that. And so when Michelle and I had kids, and she started to want to buy things for Christmas, I realized that there would be no end. There would be no end to satisfying that longing in her heart. Now, you see, that's not a budgeting issue. That's a heart issue. And if I didn't understand where that came from for my wife, I would have had no compassion. We spent way more money through the years on Christmas than we should have. And Michelle will tell you the same thing. And can I tell you, to this day, we've been married over 35 years. That still resonates in her heart. It still comes up in her every Christmas to do more. Not because she wants someone to be impressed, but because this broken thing that happened to her as a child, it became her why for why she wanted to give gifts. And so she learned then to navigate that a little bit as the years went by. I'll tell you plainly, she still hasn't mastered it. But can I tell you that it doesn't matter to me because I know where it comes from. And when you learn to discern whether it's a budgeting issue and just a matter of agreement and control and just controlling your spending, but can I tell you, for many people, they're just like Michelle. Christmas is a time when they want to solve childhood pains and problems and injuries. It doesn't work, but it drives them to make decisions. And what you have to do is discern in your financial stress. Is this an external issue that could be solved through discussion, budgeting, and coming to some agreement? Or is this an internal one? If it's an internal one, and you're not the one who's struggling with the internal driving force to buy more, to get more, to do more, the best thing you can do for the person you love is to go right into that broken place with them and let them talk to you about it. Let them process it. It will reduce their spending somewhat, but it'll still be more than what they should have done. And I'm just being plain with you. There's times, because to love my wife, I know we spent more than we should have. But I would rather we err on the side of being givers than the other way around. But in letting her process this through the years, she's been able to approach Christmas. And you want to know what else it did for her? Is the grief that she would feel at Christmas. She wouldn't even know why. She wouldn't even know why she would get sad. You know, when you get to talk about it, when you get to even ask the why question, honey, why do you feel so compelled? And she gets to talk about it. Do you realize getting to talk these things out, it matters so much in helping you process these things. And so if it's an external one, I just want to encourage you. Hey, just talk about it. But if it's internal, love your spouse, love whomever you're doing this with, and care for them. And the more you do that, the more healing that will come to them. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you found it helpful, we'd love for you to join us for a service at one of our campuses or online, or consider joining a small group where you can find support, encouragement, and a community that cares. You can find information and links to the resources in the description below. Remember, you don't have to go through the holidays alone. God is with you, and so are we.